Yes, people, welcome back to the channel. This is the Manchester United versus Newcastle preview, a game where United are the walking wounded. And listen, you can say that in a number of ways. Wounded in terms of recent results and wounded in terms of personnel available. It does feel like a tough ask, doesn't it? But the only little shining light might be the fact that Newcastle have been even more inconsistent and they have a terrible away record. I think they've only won once in 8 away games this season, and I think that was against Everton last month, I believe. Them away from home and at St James's Park, it's night and day. But unfortunately, if I look at the situational preview of the game as well in terms of recent heads-to-heads, United have only won one of the last 6 games against Newcastle, with Newcastle winning 5 of them. So recent history suggests we just severely struggle against Newcastle, and a lot of that comes down to physicality. And I wonder whether United having to go for a more defensive, regimented approach, especially with the midfield area and the back line, might actually help us in this game a little bit. Unfortunately, United have started off as a fortress at Old Trafford. I think we're winless there since October. It's not looking good. It's so difficult to analyse United recently, especially off results based, because we've only won 2 games in 8, but we've only lost twice in 10. So it's just whether you're half glass full or you're half glass empty. But there's too many draws, there's too many drop points, and there's too many just flashes of good performances, but overall poor 90 minutes of play. And it's the fact that United have such a soft underbelly, which is the problem. And that's how you get found out in this league, where there's so much quality throughout it, where every game is pretty much difficult in their own right. I say this every single week. And if United are a little bit off colour, especially where the level of the squad is at now, that's all it takes for United to drop points. It feels like United need to be really, really good for a full 90 minutes, or be on the right side of Lady Luck to get a win these days. And that is an uncomfortable position for us to be in, do you know what I mean, as United fans. But as I've said, so we've got No, Ahmad, and Mbumo and Mazraoui. They're at AFCON. Mainu's injured. Bruno is injured for the first time in my lifetime. And him being our best player and our captain and our best creator is going to be a colossal miss. De Ligt is injured, who's been our best defender this season. I'm not quite sure whether he's back yet. I feel like I've heard that it's really unlikely. United are just up against it. And I actually expected to go into the game a little bit more pessimistic than I am, even though I think a draw might be our best chance of a result. Is United performed a lot better at Villa Park against an informed Villa team than I expected. And it kind of showed me that United are very much one of those teams that when we're expected to win games and we're favourites, that's when they'll disappoint you. But the team has spirit and character in it, and it has a little bit of a funny way, United, of performing when it feels like it's unlikely, when our backs are against the wall, when there isn't that expectation. We have that kind of sneak attack element of the way we're kind of the composition of our team, basically. It does feel that way, I think, because we're so good in transitions, so good when we're countering teams, have enough quality in the team still, especially in forward areas, where if other teams are looking at our lineup and feel like they're not as good as they once were, they're not that great, they've got Bruno out, could we be underestimated? And I still think United aren't a team that you underestimate if you're opposition. You still got to be focused. You still got to turn up. You still got to be there, because we still have players that can punish you, the likes of Cunha and obviously Mount when he's getting good form. Obviously Casemiro being such a threat, especially in opposition box. United still have good players, and he can't take us lightly. And Newcastle taking us lightly might actually be our best hope of getting a result. Even though they do have injury issues of their own, I will not lie. Obviously, they've only won 6 games out of their 17. they're having another season where they're struggling with balancing European football and league football, especially the high intensity football that they do play. A lot of their new signings aren't playing well outside of Waltmade. I think Thiaw has been decent for them as well. Likes of Alanga has been a dud. Jacob Ramsey has been a dud. That's £100 million worth of signing that Newcastle have signed, by the way, which is weird because they love to complain about PSR and not being able to spend when they do spend a lot of money on Dross. You can't have it both ways. But for me, I think this game stinks of one where the midfield area is a concern anyway. Whenever we play against Newcastle, likes of Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes, pretty much as good as it next. And then he had a little thug as well in terms of Joe Linton. But I think Lewis Miley stepped into that role as well as that young player that broke onto the scene a season ago for them, but has been heavily injured. And he's performing well in there. And he's another player who's, 6'3", quite well built. They're a very powerful, strong team. And I think the lack of physicality in our team in recent years is why we've struggled so much. We've kind of slightly alleviated that a little bit, but not perfectly. I feel like we're a lot fitter than we have been. We play at a bit of a higher intensity than we have done in recent times as well. And we don't get bullied quite as frequently, but it's still not a strong point of our team. Obviously, they've got Botman injured at the back. I talked about their injury issues. They've got Livramento's gone down with another injury as well. Trippier's not available. Dan Burn, Botman. They have been kind of decimated in their back line. And I'm wondering whether that will be enough of an equaliser for United to have something to capitalise on. But I think the talk of the town is our back three's looking relatively young. We don't have much option there. We obviously got Aidan Heaven and Lenny Euro, who are both teenagers. And then you've got Luke Shaw playing centre-half as well, when that's not fully his natural position, even though it might be now in his later stage of his career. You've got Ahmad gone, who's our only attacking wing-back. Our midfield options are decimated without Bruno and Mainu. And Ugarte basically being a non-player. I almost don't class him as a footballer at this point. He's a massive net negative. We've lost every single game that he started. Bad omen. But I think he's one of those where correlation does equal causation. And then you got a front three with a number 9 in Sesko, who's still trying to find his way with a little bit of an injury ravaged in and out of the team season, where he hasn't really got up to the speed of things, and he's still trying to find himself as a young project striker, which he does seem like he is. And you got Xerxes, who is he a striker? Is he a false 9, or does he suit Premier League intensity? You would probably say that he doesn't. And you got Mount, who's played well. I think United function better when he does play in terms of defensively out of position, out of possession. But he feels like a little bit of the connective tissue of the front line as well, where he combines with players well. He's got good technical security, and he's capable of bits of real serious quality in the final third. But that literal monologue on the game, that little situational preview of the game, makes it seem like it's just a massive tough ask. And it will be. And this is why this period now, when we've got players missing, it's not like we were pretty much firing on all cylinders when everyone was there anyway. The margins were already thin. And they've just got narrower. Oh, it feels peaked, doesn't it? Oh, God. Listen, it just feels techie, though. It just feels... I'm desperate for a result here because of the fact that we lost at Villa Park. I think we performed a lot better than I expected it to. I think we deserved a result. And now you go up against a Newcastle side who have enough quality to beat you as well. We've had such poor home form of late. Everton, West Ham, Bournemouth dropping points. If United lose again against Newcastle and then other results don't go our way, United go into the new year around, 10th, 11th place, halfway through the season. And then you've got a couple more games after that, still having to manage players being out. And with the league being so close and the parity being the way it is, and the league table being so tight, 3-4 bad results on the spin, like Bournemouth have found out, and you're looking at your season being an uphill battle for the rest of it. And you're like United at January with a season feeling like it's nearly over already. You can't stomach that, can you? So United have to find a way and pull their socks up, as Roy Keane will say. But anyway, I'm going to get into my starting lineup. You know I love waffling on, but I've gone for this. I've gone for Lemens in goal, Lenny Yoro, Aiden Heaven and Luke Shaw, the same back three. I know Lenny Yoro has severely struggled, but there's not really much of an option in the back line, especially with the late Maguire still pretty much being out at time of recording. I was thinking about Deloa's right centre-half, but then who do you put as a wing-back? There's no other option. You just got to stick with a young lad. And I've gone for the wing-backs being Delo and Dorgu. I've gone for Casemiro back into the midfield. And I'm not playing Ugarte. I will not do it. So I'm going for Martinez to partner him. And you're looking at mobility in that midfield too, and you're looking at Bruno Gomares, Tonali, Joe Linton, Lewis Miley when they play, and you're thinking it could be a bit of a bloodbath. But I feel like the system is able to be tweaked enough, similarly to the way that he did it against Villa, where maybe he puts Mount in there as well to kind of form a little bit of a triangle to offer a little bit of legs and protection for Casim and Martinez, who are still clever enough players defensively and good enough on the ball in terms of Martinez's aspect to kind of alleviate that as well. But I think this actually might have to be a home game where United treat it like an away one, where we are compact, we are aggressive out of possession enough, but we do sit in a little bit of a mid-block where we kind of screening and helping the back line and then springing forward on the counter. I think that's how we're going to have to play. Otherwise, I think if the game does become stretched and we're a little bit too gung-ho, you do worry about the legs in there, but the options are too thin in there, and I will not play Ugarte, I'm sorry. And going for a front three, I was thinking about, do I draft Xerxes in? But I think you need probably a little bit of something different coming off the bench. So I've gone for Mount, Cunha and Sesko up front. And you look at that lineup and you're thinking it looks very, very defensive. You've invariably got, 7 defensive players on the pitch. How far are we fallen as a United team? But honest to God, I think that is pretty much United's best bet. And United haven't been good enough defensive anyway. We don't keep clean sheets. We've only kept 1 in 17 matches. It's always an uphill battle if you're conceding goals. And you've got to look at it and think, can that starting lineup be solid enough defensively to keep Newcastle out? And can we probably nick a goal with an opportunity that we do get, or set pieces? Because bottom line is, United are still capable and always will be of creating a few chances in the game. And it might have to be one of those where United treat it as a smash and grab. Otherwise, it could be an uphill battle. And you've got to hope for the fact that Newcastle might be a little bit off colour as well. And then we play really well and kind of build on some of the football and performances that we have seen in the Villa game and in the Bournemouth game, even though we haven't got a result in both. But another draw and another loss and things start to look bleak in terms of results and the rest of our league form. But I don't want to be disingenuous and act like it can't. It will obviously factor in the fact that we have got personnel that aren't available. Almost like 6 starters not able to play. It's going to be tough. We probably won't be favourites, but I'm still praying that United get a result. But anyway, I'll be back for the review. Have a Merry Christmas. You'll be back with me on Boxing Day to see how United fare. Got your fingers crossed. It's the hope that kills. But hopefully United do get a result. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. Hype the video as well. Roll to 10k. Let's get there. But see you later.